your favorite movie this is. And my favorite movies too, Greetings and hello there everyone, it's me, your Star Wars dad, Nooch Too Good, and today we are going over the poll results, but a little bonus. So, we just did a poll on the channel, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? We're going to go through that. I have some interesting comments from the videos, video comments. I want to look at on some of this and stuff and maybe talk about us as a community, not just a Nooch Too Good community or Star Wars dad community, but a Star Wars community in general. And anyway, and I'll talk about that, but then I'm going to show you my rankings, how I rank the Star Wars movies, bottom to top, and we'll do that afterwards. So we're going to look at all your votes first, finish that up, and then I will tell you my rankings, how I would rank the Star Wars movies, worst to best is what I'm going to go. So, hey, it starts off right here with the prequels, and you can see Revenge of the Sith is just kind of dominating there, 86% for Revenge of the Sith. It wasn't really close. We did have 92, we had 38 comments on that, but I'm going to save the comments. I got a specific place in here I want to talk about the comments. So, hey, original trilogy, Empire Strikes Back 62%, Return of the Jedi 31%. I'm going to tell you guys, I think that this is a more recent development with Filoni talking about Luke's journey in Return of the Jedi and how he saved the galaxy, via his virtue, how the father saves the son saves the father. All this was clear back in the day, and I was there back in the day watching these in the theaters. But it wasn't like, I just think Return of the Jedi now with the final duel in the movie really brings, everything's been explained to it, just brings it to a new light and has elevated this movie in people's vision. So Empire Strikes Back for a long time has been considered by a lot to be the best movie, best Star Wars movie, until Revenge of the Sith came out. It was kind of a toss-up there, but Return of the Jedi's made a strong comeback recently. I held out for A New Hope for a long time, just because I have some, ability to sense, or some need in me to say that's the original, and I like the original. I'm going to look at one comment here that I found interesting on this one. The problem with the comments is every time I go back, I gotta refresh the screen, so I'll be back in it. Let's say, where was it? I know the comment. Oh man, it was in a later one. So yeah, these are fun comments, but we'll come back to it here in a second. Okay, proceeding with everyone's favorite, the sequels. Force Awakens 75%, the other two are only pulling the other 25%. Force Awakens ran away with this. I think by far Force Awakens is the most palatable of the sequels, or it is certainly the most entertaining, the funniest. We get to see our hero Han Solo. Unfortunately, we don't get to see him. Well, we get to see him for a while, but anyway, I have no qualms with this vote, no problems at all. And then we get the Star Wars stories, which is only Solo and Rogue One. They were gonna do a whole series of this, and it was just like when Solo tanked, they just kind of quit on it. I really feel like that this would have been the way to keep going, but they converted to TV/Disney Plus. Whatever, but I like both of these movies. I really do. I would sit down and watch either one of them. Rogue One, a clear winner here. Not a surprise. Rogue One, not only the movie itself, just gritty, raw, it kind of shows the background of destroying the Death Star, but, that final scene with Vader really elevates Rogue One far above Solo. But I love Solo, too. I could watch Solo anytime, fine with me. Here we go. This is where I want to kind of get in the comments. So, we've got Revenge of the Sith versus Force Awakens in the semifinals. Okay, so Revenge of the Sith wins the sequels vote. Force Awakens wins the... Revenge of the Sith wins the prequels. Force Awakens wins the sequels. And, there's a lot of fire in these comments. Now, this is actually one that I honestly don't think Force Awakens is a bad movie. I enjoy it, but with that said, can't even sniff Revenge of the Sith. I mean, I think that's fair. That's a fair comment. You force us all to pick a sequel movie, even though they're all bad at showing. I love now, this is Jeff Bezos. Now, Jeff Bezos loves the sequels, just FYI. So just be aware of that going forward. Actual storytelling or a shot-for-shot remake of A New Hope. Some people are trolls for picking Force Awakens. The Force Awakens is doomed to fail. Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie. Nooch is basically asking Chosen One or Meisu. Whoever said Force Awakens over Revenge of the Sith is crazy. There's a lot of 5% of people didn't take this seriously. Those are the Force Awakens voter. I don't know. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of hate in the community for the sequels. Now, I think we need to try to take that at times in our lives And we do a lot of Ross reviews here on the channel, and we have fun with people, and we'll say kind of big, bold things like you're doing it wrong or this is messed up or whatever. But I'd like to have a little sympathy, a little empathy, if you will, for the people that love the sequels. And I'm telling all of you, I want to tell all of you again, and I don't know if this is going to happen exactly the same way, but my generation of people, we grew up with the original trilogy, and when the prequels started coming out, and Attack of the Clones especially, man, we tore those things up. We hated those movies. And people that would have been on YouTube, if YouTube existed at the time, I guess by the time the prequels kind of fully came out, the YouTube was out here for sure. But, people hated the prequels. So kids, the young kids watching the prequels at the time and loving them were not on YouTube a lot, not making comments. But as time has gone on, those prequels have gained a lot of momentum over time. And I think the people in my generation would have been making the same kind of comments to you guys about liking the prequels back in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I just want to be aware of that, because I'd like to come back 10, 15 years from now and see how these comments are working out. I'm not a sequels fan either. I think they've got a lot of problems and a lot of holes. I just want to remember these comments back when you guys get a little bit older. So hey, let's take a look at the next round here. We took a look at semis from that. Let's go take a look at the others. Take a look at the other semifinal round. And here you go, Empire Strikes Back versus Rogue One. The comments here aren't as laced with I don't know, vim and vigor or I don't know. Empire Strikes Back takes it from Rogue One. I'm not surprised at this. Empire Strikes Back is the tried and true. It is to me, and you'll see this in a bit, but I won't say it. I don't want to give away my rankings, but I love Empire Strikes Back. This is the movie Empire Strikes Back that me and my buddy Cosmo would get together. We watched this probably on a weekly basis back when we were, middle school and high school. Just over and over, and of course we watched the other original trilogies because there's the only movies out at the time. But Empire Strikes Back, not surprised here, it takes it from Rogue One, even though Rogue One is a tremendous movie. And we get to the final round, and no surprise to anyone, I was not surprised. Revenge of the Sith over Empire Strikes Back, 66-34. I think this reflects not only the quality of the movie, but I think it reflects the age of the folks on the internet right now. But there's nothing wrong with that. I do want to look at these comments for sure. There was one comment in here. Well, I guess I didn't find it. So there was a comment somewhere along the way that with Return of the Jedi, I don't know, I guess I didn't find it. There was a comment in there about Return of the Jedi where they said if you take out the final battle, it's just a mid-movie. And it's like, well, I never understand that one. Like, if you take out this part of the movie, it's a bad movie. It's like, well, you can't do that. There's a reason that's in there, and that's part of the movie. Anyway, I'm not finding it. But anyway, here are the comments here. Empire and Rise of Skywalker, Revenge of the Sith are probably about tied for me, but Revenge of the Sith has the edge in action sequences, music, and visuals. I don't know about music. I mean, honestly, the Imperial March at the time, nothing like it. Imperial March, to me, is still at the tippy top of all Star Wars music, but the Mustafar duel, I can't argue that. That's amazing. This is amazing. This is where the fun begins. My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. I like all of the comments on here. This was a fun vote at the end. I just kind of wonder if we can get rid of some of the vitriol that surrounds, the sequels along the way. I'm not a fan either. And tell you what, with that, let's get into my voting. Let's take a look at my top Star Wars movies. Bottom to top, we're going to look at them there. Let's take a look. And here we are. Okay, so what I did was I pulled these movies out, I looked at all of them, and I tried to go in order of, if I had all 11 movies sitting in front of me right now, which one would I pick up and watch first? And I take that out, and then I look at the next 10. Which one would I watch first? Pull it out on down the road. Okay, so that's how I looked at this. And for sure, Rise of Skywalker is the movie that I would watch last. You know what? I saw this twice in the theaters, and the first time I actually enjoyed it a little bit. I tried to let go of all my feelings and just kind of watch it for the action sequences. I'm a guy. I'm pretty. What's the word? I'm pretty forgiving, and I try to enjoy things while I'm doing them. I don't always succeed, I'm not, but then I kind of went home and had a conversation with my son. I went and watched it again, and it's just awful. It's just, somehow Palpatine returned. Finn never gets a storyline. Poe never gets a storyline. I'm sure that Carrie Fisher passing away was a bad impact on the movie, I guess. But JJ, you can't, if you're gonna let Ryan make a movie, and let's get to the next movie. If you're gonna let Rian Johnson make the second movie in your sequel, you either need to have more control over the content of that movie or roll with what he did. You can't remake everything that he did in the final movie and just try to retrocon it out. If you're gonna let Rian Johnson make Last Jedi and kill the past, destroy the past as much as he did, then you got to roll with it, man. I mean, that was a decision that you made as the producer of the films, and I just, Last Jedi to me, I'm actually somewhat okay. I know this is going to be, but with the Rey and Kylo stuff, I like the fact that they're a Force dyad. It doesn't make any sense that they had no relationship at all outside. Like, I feel like there should be some kind of blood relationship for them to have a Force dyad. And I would have preferred, he's like Luke's long lost kid and whatever, Mara Jade pops on the screen, whatever. But I don't know, they just, all the stuff with the casino planet, it's just garbage. Just like that whole part of the movie, like Finn and Rose and Poe had zero purpose in this movie. Zero. You did not need them in this movie. They went off to a planet, did a bunch of stuff that didn't impact anything, came back, did a bunch of stuff that didn't impact anything. Poe wasn't allowed to impact anything. They weren't even part of this movie. They were just, and this is what really sets it up to absolutely fail, is you have, part of your main cast that has no impact on anything that's happening. All right, let's move up. So Force Awakens comes next. I actually enjoyed Force Awakens. I saw it 2 or 3 times in the theaters. I think it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just a ripoff of A New Hope, which is unfortunate. But the movie was fun. It set up some stories that we could have had told. It wasn't a perfect movie, and I know people that hated it from the start, and that's fine. But for me, I had fun with the movie. I love seeing Han Solo on the big screen again. It kind of continued the neutering of Princess Leia. Return of the Jedi neutered Princess Leia a lot. Like, hey, you were snarky, you were sarcastic, you were strong, and now Return of the Jedi's here, and you're wispy and hopey and dreamy, and she was kind of that way in this movie too. But I had fun at Force Awakens. I enjoyed it. I had a blast. Out of the sequels, for me, it's definitely the best one, by far and away. Hey, Attack of the Clones comes next. When I remember the second time I saw Rise of Skywalker, and I thought, let me go home and watch. It was Phantom Menace. And within the first 5 minutes of Phantom Menace, you have a bad guy, you have a storyline, you know exactly where this trilogy is going. And that was what says to me that the prequels are better than the sequels. And Attack of the Clones has a lot of cool things. This party's over, Mace against Jango, the whole clone army at the end, the Jedi army at the end. The opening sequences is fun and cool, and Anakin flying around and jumping out of that stuff is fun. It's all the in-between. The love stuff is so bad. I mean, so bad. So bad. All right, it's so bad. You get it. Attack of the Clones is above the sequels, but for all the other movies, it comes last for me, and followed closely by Phantom Menace. Now, Phantom Menace has gained a lot of momentum over time. When it came out, everybody hated Jar Jar. Everybody hated the racial stereotypes of Newt Gunray and Jar Jar and whatever. I mean, we just gotta find race in everything, unfortunately. But whatever. I would watch Phantom Menace next. I have always said, I feel like they should have started Anakin off as a teenager, and if he's going to be on Tatooine, maybe he's just running the town. He's already got that boss mentality, that dark side mentality. They run into him and they say, we can show you a better way. They bring him back, and here's teenage Anakin. I know what Lucas said. Start off as a boy, he's innocent. You can see how an innocent boy with dreams and hopes can be corrupted. Fine. I just would have liked it better, and it would have been a better story if Anakin was a teenager from the start. Give us Hayden Christensen from the very beginning, and then we roll from there. But, you know what? If I gotta choose next, it's this, and the Darth Maul lightsaber duel at the end is barely second. Revenge of the Sith on Mustafar is the best, obviously, but man, that lightsaber duel, for the quality of the duel itself, is number 2 in the entire universe. So there you go. Hey, Solo's next for me. I would rather watch Solo than those 2 movies. I really like Solo. I said it when it came out. I kind of got dragged by my friends. My best friend in the world said it's just a dumpster fire, and I just never thought it was. I agree. There's some goofiness to it, and they worked really too hard. You know, I remember as you watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, they present like every single explanation for who Indiana Jones is in the first 10 minutes of Last Crusade, with River Phoenix running around as young Indiana, grabbing the cross of Coronado, whipping himself in the chin to give himself a scar, becoming afraid of snakes, etc. That was all in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And Solo kind of falls prey to the same thing. It's trying to explain everything about Han Solo. Your name is Solo because you didn't have a last name. You were an orphan. You found Chewie. You speak Wookiee. You're kind of a scoundrel, but kind of a good guy. It was all... You met Lando. You played Sabacc. You won the Falcon. Like, they squeezed it all into one movie. It doesn't really bother me. It's not believable, but who cares? This is Star Wars. I had fun with this movie. I had a blast. I loved Lando. Yeah, I don't really see Lando having a love affair with a droid, but I love Lando, and I really enjoyed this movie. I had a blast with it. Oh, and the twist at the end with Enfys Nest being a woman just was coming a mile away. You know, it was one of those things at the time when the movie came out, it's like, wait a minute. Oh, Enfys Nest is going to take their mask off. It's a girl. And as soon as they started to take their mask off, you're like, oh, it's a girl. And it was. So that trope was done by them, but, they kept doing it in movies for a long time after that, so whatever. Hey, Rogue One is next for me. I love Rogue One. I really do. I love the movie all the way through, but, the Darth Vader sequence at the end is what really puts it over the top for me. And if I gotta be honest, if I watched this movie 10 times, I would say probably at least half the time, I probably would watch it and I'd fast forward to the end just to watch the Darth Vader sequence, although I can just go to YouTube and watch it. But, it's a great movie, great movie. And I love the fact that they closed the plot hole. This is one of the times when they actually went back and closed a plot hole that was pleasant and pleasing, where they didn't ruin the previous movie, and just making it so that the Death Star was designed with a flaw, as opposed to there's just this exhaust plort, name what that is, exhaust plort that you can shoot a photon torpedo through. Proton torpedo, I can never keep it straight. One is Star Trek and one is we'll take our ships with the photon. I think it's photon torpedoes. I don't know. One is Star Trek, one is Star Wars. Anyway, Rogue One, I would definitely watch it. And now, with the end of that, now we get to the movies that these last 4 movies are fairly interchangeable for me. I'm going to tell you, the original trilogy and Revenge of the Sith are the last 4 movies left. And these 4 movies, I really could watch. If I had 4 of them sitting in front of me on a different day, I might choose any one of them to watch first. So I just want to say that before I get into these rankings. I came in with A New Hope at 4th. But again, if I was on this on a different week, I might choose it first. For me, it's the movie that got me into movies, and I love going to the movies. My wife and I, our kids, we've been going to the movies our entire marriage, the entire time with the kids. We watched, we went and saw every Star Wars movie, every Marvel movie, every Harry Potter movie, every movie in between we went and saw. We love I saw Titanic with my wife twice. And it was funny, Titanic was out for a year. So we went and saw it early on, then we went and saw it later on. And we were really newly, I don't remember what year it came out. We were either youngly married or we were dating. I don't know. But yeah, Star Wars. My dad took me to see and it's just Star Wars to me. A New Hope is the name, but it's Star Wars. My dad took me to the drive-in 1977 in our brown Volare station wagon. Me, 5 years old, my sister, 2.5 probably, and my dad seeing Star Wars. He brought a big paper bag full of popcorn to the drive-in. We had the movie going. I remember we went to the bathroom during the trash compactor because we were little kids. So I missed part of the trash compactor scene to go to the bathroom, but I remember doing that. It happened. Of course, our memories can play tricks with us, but that's what I remember. My sister and I wanted to sit on the hood of the car to watch it. We were in Texas at the time. And we got the bag of popcorn on the hood of the car. It's blowing around in the wind. And we couldn't hear the movie because at a drive-in, the speaker goes and hangs in the window. So we had to go back in the car to watch the movie. I remember it. I remember the experience. I remember quizzing my mom about the movie afterward and laughing because she didn't know what color Obi-Wan's lightsaber was. I remember this movie. And it set forth a change in my life where I love going to the movies and I love Star Wars. So, you know, the original A New Hope always holds a place in my heart. Return of the Jedi. Of course, I remember going to see this with my dad. I remember my dad saying that he thought it was the best of the three movies, and my mom mocking him and saying, well, that's you just say because it's the most recent one you saw. And they got in a big fight about it. Yes, my parents had a fight about Return of the Jedi. You know, Bikini Leia, yeah, I get it. It's never been... I'm always a fan of A New Hope Leia, honestly, for me, was always at the top of my list. The flowing white robe, I like a little mystery in my life, boys and girls. And so, you know, I fell in love with flowing white robe Leia, and that has held to this day. I've got her bubblegum card over my shoulder, and I carried that card around with me in school. However, Return of the Jedi. You know, it came out. I loved it. I've watched this movie 1,000 times. Ewoks aren't perfect. They're a little bit cutesy and whatever. But man, you know, the story they tell, there's a scene where the Ewok dies and the Ewok's buddy rolls up and is sad, and it's relatable. You know, originally it was supposed to be Wookiees, but Lucas couldn't put it together. He couldn't put together that many tall people and the budget for doing it on Kashyyyk instead. So he switched to Endor with the Ewoks, which is just a variant of Wookiee. You know, think about it. And it's woke backwards. No, it's not, but it's kind of. The Ewoks are not woke. I don't know what to do with that. Anyway, man, you know, it's just perfect culmination. It finishes it off. Luke wins everything with just his virtue alone, saves the galaxy. Return of the Jedi, I love it. I love the multiple storylines. There is another Skywalker. It gets a little cheesy, a little wispy. Luke is a little bit in this movie, but you just gotta love Empire Strikes Back. And I do say, like I said earlier, I don't like the fact that they really did neuter Leia. Leia didn't have, you know, her snark kind of disappeared in this movie. And it's a shame. And that's what I really feel like is the biggest thing. The snark was gone. You know, in general, of all the characters, their sharpness, they all kind of became softer in this movie. And I think that's unfortunate that all the characters are softer in this movie. And wispy is the word I use. They just, all of them, all four of our main... all three of our main... Well, I guess Lando still had Lando, but the other ones weren't quite there for me. Hey, Revenge of the Sith is next for me. And some of you were screaming and yelling, and that's fine. I love this movie. You know, when we I remember going to see this with my sons at the theaters, and that opening, 20 minutes was so tremendous. Hilarious, nonstop laughs. It was great. It was perfect storytelling. I just loved it. And then there's just so much stuff in between that and the final battle. For me, the opening sequence and the final sequence are the best. The best. Yoda and Palpatine going at it while Anakin and while Anakin and Obi-Wan are going at it. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than that opening and closing sequence. The stuff in the middle, I never really enjoyed all the politics of it. I felt like they could have done a little quicker. And Palpatine in the movie theater, no, good enough from a Jedi. Perhaps you've heard the tale. It's just too much to me. It's overdone and too slow. But whatever, that's fine. I love this movie. I can watch it any day of the week. But the closing sequence in Mustafar is just amazing and really sets up the whole thing. Even though there's some really bad lines. Sorry, guys. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil is a horribly written line. He could have just said the Jedi are evil. We know it's your point of view. We don't need it. Anyway, but hey, great movie. Great movie. Number 2 on the list. And of course, number 1 for me is Empire Strikes Back. It's the movie that changed things for me. I saw this in theater with my dad. I was actually scared of Darth Vader was scary in this movie. He scared me to death. And that with the Wampa was scary. There were a lot of scary things. And we've kind of gotten away from being scared in a Star Wars movie. But people forget that this was actually... Darth Vader at the end in Cloud City when Luke is... That is legit frightening stuff in a movie theater for a child. And we really got away with that from the sequels. I don't even think the prequels had a lot of actual scary stuff. Tell me if I'm wrong. But man, this movie scared me, made me laugh. It's just a tremendous, tremendous movie. Introduction of Lando and Yoda. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Tremendous characters. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Empire Strikes Back to me is the pinnacle of movie making. I love this movie more than any other movie on the planet. It is my favorite movie of all time. It cannot be usurped. I love the Imperial March. It's the best music ever written. I love this movie. It's amazing. I love Darth Vader in it. He is astonishingly awesome in this movie, casually killing people over and over and over again. It's just great stuff. And there you go. There's my rankings of the Star Wars movies. I don't have much else to say. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, hey, have a great day. I will talk to you soon. Let me know in the comments what you think and your favorite movies, your least favorite movies, etc. And always remember, Newt's too good. Oh boy, that just blew the whole thing up right there.